Today's episode is sponsored by Some Edibles CBD infused products. That's SUM Edibles and can be found at someedibles.com. They have a variety of yummy treats, including
vegan organic gummies,
brown buttered chocolate chip cookies,
and marshmallow cereal bars, just to name a few.
For fans of the podcast, you can use the promo code WIFE, that's WIFE, to receive 10% off your order.
Again, promo code WIFE for 10% off your order.
So, head to someedibles.com today. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Drunken Housewife Reviews. I am Sarah, the Drunken Housewife.
And I'm Ian, her husband / host, which I try to keep her on the rails as best I can.
And it's a full-time job. Today we are featuring, of course, margaritas because it's 4th of July weekend. What else do you drink on 4th of July weekend? And we're talking to Bryan Parkerson,
Yes.
director, producer, writer, caterer, I don't know, first aid station, everything, I guess. Man,
if I were a caterer, people would be in trouble. I cannot cook. Save my life. So many people get food poison. If I was a caterer, I'd be in business for a week and would be done. I'd be in jail or something because I just can't. Now I can sort of grill. I don't know how exactly. I just kind of throw meat on there and, flip it a few times. And apparently I can grill okay, but yeah, you don't want to eat my cooking. But believe it or not, a little trivia fact about Bryan. When I cook, the more disgusting it looks, the better it tastes.
Okay.
The better it looks, the more disgusting it
I get
tastes.
that.
Okay.
I get that.
I personally believe, though, with the grilling, like that's how 98% of the men on the planet who grill do, is they throw the meat on there and they flip it when they think it needs flipped. And then it's like, yeah, that looks done. Let's pull it off and eat it. I mean, I just in my heart believe that that's like 98% of the grillers out there are like, yeah, I'm going to try and look like I know what I'm doing. And boom, boom, there, ta-da, it's done. Here.
Let me tell you a tragic story. So COVID has been in my house a couple times.
Once
and
for
one
us.
of my one of my former roommates, two out of the three of us, one of them's moved out. My friend Donnie lives with me. COVID was in this house 3 times and he never caught it. And he finally caught it on the 4th time, which is very strange. I can't explain it to you, but what was a bummer is I've had it twice. I had it for the first time in October of 2020. My taste and smell have never been the same since I've had it. That first time. And for a long time, thankfully my taste is getting back to normal. But for a long time, meat had a really weird, I call it the COVID taste because nothing else, I can't liken it to anything. So I made barbecue chicken one night on the grill. And what was a bummer is I was told, literally my friend Adam said to me, "This is the best barbecue chicken I've ever had. It tasted terrible to me." And I was so sad.
Oh, man.
I was so sad. But the good news is that meat finally tasted good again. In fact, a couple weeks back, I was at dinner with Honey Gregory and I had a steak and it was the best steak I've ever had, probably because it's been like 2 years since I've been able to taste steak correctly.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I was super excited about that. So for all of you out there who are suffering from phantosmia and parosmia, there is hope. I still have the phantosmia occasionally. It's actually triggered by things now. When Donnie cooks pork chops, there's something about the smell and the grease. It triggers the cigarette smell again. I don't know why, but yeah, it's really weird. But anyway, so it was a bummer. I apparently cooked this like amazing barbecue chicken and it tasted
and you couldn't
terrible.
taste any of it.
Wow.
It was such a bummer.
I mean, my sister-in-law makes the world's best deviled eggs. I mean, like anytime we need deviled eggs brought to a kitchen, we're like, she's making them. She hates the taste of deviled eggs. She does not like deviled eggs in any way, shape, or form, but she makes the most amazing deviled eggs you've ever had. And we're like, how do you do it if you're not like, dipping your finger in and tasting the mix or she's like, I just know how much of what to put in there. And
and there you go.
It's
some people are just prodigies. I mean, like, was it Beethoven was deaf or was that Mozart? And it was Beethoven.
It was Beethoven.
Yeah.
Beethoven was deaf and made incredible music. So, I mean, some people are just geniuses. They're just prodigies at things.
It's
strange.
Yeah, it is amazing. It is. I am not a prodigy in anything except
Me either.
being able to drink massive quantities of tequila and still talk. So I guess that's a gift. I don't know.
It's
We'll go for it.
Was it Raider? No, was it Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Where they did the shot.
Marion, what Marion was doing the shots with the person.
Yeah.
It might could serve you well in some capacity. You never know. I mean,
True.
It could. I don't know. I don't know if I would ever. I mean, I see that scene as she is like an Olympic athlete who has trained her entire life to be able to do this. And the other guy came up from the bush leagues to try and take her on. That's how I see that. I'm not in any way, shape, or form that level, but I hold my own. Hence how we got this whole podcast, because he waited until I was just drunk enough after drinking a few margaritas. And I went, hey, we should do a podcast. And he held me to it. So
remind me off air to share a story with you guys.
Okay.
We love the off air stories. And
I'm not going to. It's very funny. It's something that happened to me at a work party. So just remind me work party incident.
Work party story. Yes.
And I'll tell you, it's funny, but I don't want to share it on a recording.
I totally understand.
It wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't my fault. But it was. But I had a really cool boss. He looked out for me. But it was really, really funny. It was really funny.
Yeah, I frequently say that I am so glad that YouTube was not a thing in my teens and 20s, because if YouTube had been a thing in my teens and 20s, I probably would not be able to leave the house, because people would be like,
oh, it's her.
You're the chick in that YouTube video. It's like, no, I'm not. I swear I'm not. I would have to leave the country. Well, no, that wouldn't even work.
No,
YouTube's everywhere.
It's worldwide.
It's forever. But back to you. You are trying to get this production company off the ground.
Yeah.
Dawn Journey Productions.
Yeah, tell us all about that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'm gonna pop a cop drop, guys. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'm just over a COVID cough. We all got COVID. And of course, being the mom, I'm the one that took it all in and got the worst of it. And it settled in my already asthmatic lungs.
Oh, I hate to hear that.
And,
I've had it. I had it October 2020 and I had it again in January. And every time, like Knoxville is really bad for allergies. And the older I get, the worse it gets.
Mm-hmm.
So this year it's just like coming after me. So like I'm going on these podcasts and I'm like, oh, I'm ruining the audio of these cough drops, but it's better than like coughing multiple times.
Yeah, totally.
It's funny. We could literally talk for an hour just chit chatting. Like I love talking to people, so this is great. So but yeah, Dawn Journey Productions. So I'll give you the whole story.
Yeah.
So it actually this past October, I was just an IT guy. I am nearing my 40s. And I've kind of, I guess I hit a normal stage in life where you're sort of going through this like existential questioning of everything, the like life and what does it mean? And, sort of the unknownness of life is kind of weighing on me a little bit. And one of the things I realized is that I'm not really happy doing what I do for a career. I work for a great company. I'm blessed to have my job. I'm not complaining about my job, but I'm not happy. It's not what I want to do the rest of my life. So I began questioning, what is it I want to do? I'm an artistic person as well. And I thought, well, maybe I should do graphic design, or maybe I should, go into marketing, or, I just didn't know what to do. One of the things I've always wanted to do, though, was start a podcast. So randomly at some point last year, I had completely forgotten, and you're going to hear about Joe Bob Briggs a lot. I had completely forgotten about Monster Vision. I grew up watching Monster Vision on TNT whenever I would catch it. Yeah. Totally forgot about the show. I ran across it on YouTube on accident. I was like, holy smokes, it's Monster Vision. I just started watching it. And it was by the way, every time I'm on a podcast or doing mine or somebody else's, I hit my mic. Every single time. I just did it again. I move, I talk with my hands. So there's a second mic kits. There's the mic kits for everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm watching Monster Vision. It's just really feeding this nostalgia phase that I'm in. And I found out that John Bloom. So for those of you who don't know, Joe Bob Briggs is a character. The guy's name is John Bloom.
Yeah.
So John's on Cameo. So I sent him a message, and he was very polite, responded, answered my question. And I sent him another message. And on the third one, I found myself wanting to find out more about who he was as a person. And it just on a Friday, it just dawned on me. I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's my podcast. Because I love horror. My like horror is like my first love.
That's us.
Cinema.
Yes.
So I'm sitting at my desk, and I realized, like, man, why don't I interview actors, authors, directors in horror? Interview them, but don't focus totally on their careers. Also find out who they are as people.
Mm-hmm.
So I bounced the idea off Brian Keene, and Brian loved it, encouraged me to chase it. So he got me in touch with a guy named Matt Will Dawson. The cool thing about it is Matt has just become one of my best friends. Matt's actually an author. He's a graphic designer. He's got a podcast called Grindcast, which is really funny. If you guys are ever bored, check out Grindcast. It's hilarious. But yeah, so Matt helped me get the podcast started, and I just started reaching out to people. One of the first people I called was Honey Michelle Gregory, the original Mail Girl. And it was so funny. So she became an attorney, and I was scared to death to call this person, scared to death. And I called. I'm like, okay, all I got to do is talk to her. And I think, I can talk her into doing an interview. And I got a hold of her, and I talked to her. And that was probably November and now she's a really, really dear, good friend of mine. She was actually in my movie a couple weeks back, and just an amazing human being. She is so awesome. I love Honey. She's awesome. So ironically, we still haven't been able to get her podcast done yet. We haven't been able to record. I was talking to her yesterday, and she was joking about, it's like, yeah, we still haven't done your episode yet. I'm like, yeah, well, that's okay. But so we made a movie instead. So that's all that matters. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so another person I got a hold of was a guy named Harrison Smith, who's a filmmaker. And by the way, he's a fantastic interview. If you can get a hold of him to get on your podcast, he's awesome.
Oh,
he did my first episode, 2-hour interview with this guy. I walked away from that realizing I know nothing of cinema, because this man is a cinema genius.
Yes.
And so I've got this podcast going. So what I did is when I approached people, I didn't want to email them from Bryan@gmail.com or something, which is not my email address, by the way, but I'm just throwing it out there as an example.
Yeah.
I wanted to do everything officially. I wanted to have an umbrella do under. So I originally started this company. I had an original name for it. I was like, I'm not digging this. So I just got to thinking, and I was literally sitting in my bed, just brainstorming, thinking like company name. And I was thinking about all the things that meant something to me in life and so for 23 years, my favorite movie has been the 1978 Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
That movie changed my life.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I'm a filmmaker today. I realized and there's a really fun story to how I saw the movie. And I realized wait a minute, it was a journey to get to see Dawn Journey. It was a journey to get to see this movie. It's like, okay, so Dawn Journey Productions, boom. That was it. So I researched it to make sure nobody else had the name. I bought the domain for my email, started it. And now I can't explain it to you. It's just like things have just suddenly taken off. And, I now have, I think there's 6 of us total, in my team. They're officially part of the company. We just optioned a script. I have people reach out to me now wanting to do stuff with me. And it's just sort of just taken off. I mean, I'm doing things that I thought were 4 or 5 years away. And what I'm trying to do that's unique with my company, when you get into filmmaking, when you start pursuing it, one of the prevailing messages you hear from people is how difficult it is to make it in this industry. And that has never sat right with me. And the rebel in me has said, I want to change that, because people talk about being the change. They want a union for independent filmmakers. I'm like, well, let's do it then. Why are we not doing anything? So my goal with Dawn Journey Productions, I want to make as many movies as I can. But if I never make another film the rest of my life, the one thing I want to do, the one legacy I want to leave, is I want to create a company that if somebody wants to become a filmmaker, the first thing they're going to think to themselves, let me call Dawn Journey Productions, because what we're going to do is you'll call us. My company has values. As long as your project fits within those values, we're going to have a studio. We're going to have cameras. I'm going to assign you a veteran director mentor who's going to be available to you by phone, by email. He's going to be your AD on set. That we're going to walk you through A to Z making your film, and we'll try to get you distribution. Filmmaking is accessible now. If you have a phone, and I could totally go into all that too. I mean, if you have a phone, you can make a movie. It may not be a great movie, but you can make a movie. I want to change that. I want to make it more accessible. I want people to not only be able to make a movie, I want to be able to make a good movie that can actually make them money. And my hope is that other people want to reach out and help as well. So I also want it to be a safe environment. I want people to not have to look a certain way or be a certain way. I want them to be known for their talents and appreciated for their talents, you know, because I'll tell you, when you're making a film, there's months and months and months of preparation. And it can be frustrating. It can be infuriating. It can be elating. You know, there's this gamut of emotions. But when you step foot on set with all of those months of challenges behind you, it is the most amazing feeling. It's one of the most amazing feelings I've ever felt in my life. Like you're at this location, you have your camera, you have these actors, you have your crew. And it literally is magic. I literally kept saying to Scott, who was one of my business partners, he's also my AD. I was like, Scott, we're making a movie. I just kept saying that to him, like, we're making a movie, man. You know, and like, it's like, this is really happening. We're making it. And then like when Honey came down to be in the film, I can't, like, as long as I don't care who I ever direct again in a movie. They could be like Tom Cruise, pick an A-list actor. I don't care. Nothing will ever top for me getting to direct Honey Michelle Gregory in a film. That will always be the most special filmmaking experience memory I ever have, because I kept thinking, because I'm like, is this really happening? Like, is this? And the most anxious week I've ever had was the week leading up to that. I'm like, something, because things go wrong in filmmaking. It inevitably goes wrong. And I kept thinking something's going to happen that's going to ruin this. And it happened, man. And I mean, literally on set, I'm sitting here directing this amazing human being who's so talented and so nice and kind. When she's on set, she just lights up a room when she comes into it, and she is so friendly to everybody, and she's willing to do whatever you ask her to do. It's like, you know, it's like, hey, can we cover you in blood? Yeah, go for it. You know, and I didn't feel good about that, by the way. I didn't. But she's just amazing. But I couldn't shake. It's like, I can't believe this is really happening. Like, the first movie I've ever made, I've got Honey Michelle Gregory in it. Like, how is this happening? You know, and it was just, and it's magical. And I want everyone to experience that. You know, it's filmmaking has been one of the most life-changing things that I've ever experienced. I mean, like, it's actually taught me a lot of life lessons as well. You know, because when you look at, like, what does it take to be a good filmmaker? What I have found, you need a few things. Number one, you need to be able to be MacGyver. You need to be adaptable.
Yeah.
You know, the most common advice and the best advice I've gotten from other filmmakers is have a plan A, B, and C, because things are going to go wrong.
Yes.
You hear that and you're like, okay, yeah, I hear you. Great. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you're waiting for it, but you don't know what to expect. And then things go wrong. First week of production, I had to postpone production.
Could you say that again?
First week of production, I had to postpone production because we lost 2 actors.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, all right. Let me think about this for a second. And things worked out the way they should. You know, we recast, and we actually had to do script rewrites, but we have a better script because of it. I gained a valuable team. You know, one of the people that replaced one of my leads is actually now part of my company.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
Yeah. Her name's Onyx Miller, fantastic actress and amazing producer. She came in, just brought this really like savage maternal element to the character she's going to be playing. I'm like, this is fantastic. So we've revamped the script. She started giving us script ideas that we used. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Yeah. Done. Like, you know,
yeah.
So we have a better script because of her. We have an awesome character because of her. And I have an amazing producer on the project with her. So it actually worked out better. And I have a better movie because of this.
Yeah.
And one lesson, so that experience taught me good leadership is important as a director, but I will tell you, you're not the boss on set. You know, everybody's like, oh, the producers are technically the bosses, but even beyond that, I'll tell you, I don't care how good of a filmmaker you are nothing without your team.
Oh, yes.
I could be Steven Spielberg, but I can't make a movie by myself. I need my team. I'm sitting here right now talking to you guys because of my team. I have a group of people who believed in me and believed in my vision and have lifted me up on their shoulders to make this movie. And now I'm talking to you guys, but I'm here because of my team, not because of me, you know?
Oh, we totally get that.
Yeah.
Trust us.
You know, so I want to stress everybody, like, your team is your number one. Like, you are without your team, you're nothing. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how good of a writer you are. Without a good team that believes in you and believes in your vision, that loves movies as much as you do, you've got nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, every movie that you've ever seen. It's all these little pieces had to fall together. All of these people had to come together and work to get that movie made. And our daughter, whenever she goes to see a movie, she has to sit and watch all the credits roll at the end. And I'm like, nobody does that anymore. Nobody does that. And I'm like, look at all these names. All of these pieces of the puzzle had to come together to make this movie that I just thoroughly, freaking enjoyed. And, we're the only 3 people in the theater reading their names. And it's like, you have to, if any production, you have to have all those little pieces. You have to have that great team put together in order to turn it out. But, you brought up an interesting point. You listened to an actor, and you have to listen to everybody. And I just read an interview with the Duffer Brothers, who do Stranger Things, and they brought out, they're like, from season 1, from the first episode with Winona Ryder, they are so glad that they listened to her, because she's like, okay, we're filming this in the 80s, and you have this song that didn't come out, in this year, but it didn't come out for another 2 years. And there's going to be people that call you on that.
Exactly.
And they're like, just those little details of the 80s that she grew up in. Yeah. We listened and we changed. And, you have to listen. You have to, and when you listen and you take that information in and do something with it, it turns out something incredible,
Yeah. Let me touch on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
No, go right ahead. Go ahead.
So, I'll make a note here too. My brain is like doing this all the time. So like, if you see me writing, I have thoughts that pop up, and I want to make sure I don't forget them, because I'll forget them if I don't.
I have my notes here, that I made beforehand. So
we know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is incredibly important. So when I first started, so my movie's called Blood or Pins, and we can talk about the story and stuff here in a little while. But when I first started writing that script, I was so incredibly guarded of my name being the only name on that script. And I'm ashamed to admit that, but it's true. I was naive and I was foolish. And eventually I reached a point where I was sitting down with one of my best friends and Scott, my AD, and we're going over the script, we're reading it, and they're like, well, they start giving me ideas, like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? And I was like, wow, that's great. Like, that's fantastic dialogue. And slowly I started letting my guard down. It's like, this is so dumb to guard this screenplay so heavily like this. And I don't want any other name on it but mine. Like, I realized, like, writing with a team is where it's at, because you get a much better product out of it. Like, writing dialogue is incredibly difficult. And I tend to be very verbose, which doesn't translate well in a screenplay. It just doesn't. You need brevity. You need, nobody sits and gives like a 40-minute dialogue in real life, unless you're, I guess me maybe, but nobody does that. So this journey's been so incredible, because it's taught me so many lessons that translate over into life. But collaboration and listening to people, and learning to work with different personalities is so important as a filmmaker. Like when the night Honey was on set with us, one of my actors, a guy named Corey Davison, who's fantastic actor, fantastic guy. Love Corey. He had this idea for like this one scene where he's walking out the door. He's like, well, what if I stop and I do this? And I'm like, yeah, let's try it, man. Why not? And it looked great. Mm-hmm. What I didn't realize though, is how much that means to your actors. When they make a suggestion to you and you're like, yeah, try it, go for it. That means the world to them. Like he was so thrilled about, like, and it's you learn all these lessons. So I've learned, like, don't be afraid to let other people collaborate. Don't be afraid to have another name. Like, if you look at the title page for Blood or Pins, there's like 8 names on it. Yeah. I don't care, because we have a good script. Like, I'm not going to say it's, an Oscar worthy script, but it's a good script. And those 8 people, everybody that gave me a suggestion is on, as far as I know, everybody that gave me a suggestion is on the title page, because I want them to get credit, because they helped me. They gave me a better product, and a better movie is going to happen because of it. There are so many unsung heroes in cinema. And it's your lighting people, your sound people, your secondary camera people, like, even the cinematographer, there are some amazing cinematographers out there. And, and you can just pick a movie and go out on the street and say, like, who's the cinematographer for this movie? And I don't know, but that's, movies are made up of true artists because they don't care about that recognition. They care about the magic of making movies. And that's who you want on your team. You want the people that are not in this for the money. They're not in this to get famous. They want to succeed. There's nothing wrong with wanting to succeed. But I'm telling you, man, if you sit on set and you don't feel that spark and that magic, it's probably time to hang it up and do something different, because, there's a business component to filmmaking, but it's magic. It's magic. And it's like being a kid. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'll tell you a funny inside story. I actually haven't told this in the podcast yet, I don't think, or maybe one other one. I've had the privilege to connect a lot of filmmakers on this journey. And this one guy in particular, his name is Ray. Fantastic guy. I make fun of him and call him a zombie because he actually got bit by somebody one time. So I kind of have this running joke with him now. He's actually a zombie. But the night before our first like real day of shooting, he was telling me, like, drink lots of water, do this, drink some more water, do this, drink some more water. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. I'll make sure to do that. Of course, I'm an idiot. And I got on set and I was like, what do you want to drink, bro? I'm like, oh, give me a Coke Zero, so I had Diet Coke, and I didn't intentionally ignore his advice. I did hear him, and I'm like, I knew what he was telling me had to have been true for whatever reason. I didn't know why exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was so dehydrated by the end of the 7-hour day. My body hurt. I was exhausted. And the most strenuous thing I did the entire time was get on the floor to get a low angle shot. And so at the end of the day, I'm thinking, like, why is my body so sore right now? Well, that's because I'm almost 40. So I can explain that one.
Yeah.
But why am I so exhausted? And what I didn't realize, and what he helped me realize, is I was running on adrenaline the entire day. I mean, it's like when you score a really big name for your podcast.
Yes.
If you're anything like me, you stop what you're doing and you run around the house and call people, and you're just, wigging out about it. Like when about a month ago, I got to interview Scott Reiniger, and I literally stopped what I was doing because I just randomly, I wasn't expecting, it was just out of the blue. I got a response from him. He's like, oh yeah, we can totally do it. I was like, what? Because this is my favorite. This movie changed my life. I love this movie.
Yeah.
I literally was like pacing around my house, going outside. I was calling my mom. I was calling my grandmother. I was calling my friend Ryan. I'm like, I'm calling all these people because they talk about drunk calling people. I like hype call people when I do podcasts. Like when I get done with your show, I'm going to have a lot of adrenaline. I'm going to go call people and talk about it because it's what I do. So I'm like calling these people. I just can't stop moving around because I'm going to interview Scott Reiniger, the guy who played Roger. I can't believe this. I got to tell the man who was Roger in my favorite film, the story of how I saw the movie, how it changed my life. And it wasn't like I met him at a convention. I interviewed the guy and I got to sit and intimately talk with him. And that's a privilege.
Yes.
That's a privilege.
Yes.
Nobody gets to do that hardly.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I was really taken aback in a good way. I was really, let me phrase it. I was in awe of how humble he was about it. He's like, well, I'm just a person. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but you don't understand, like you're Scott Reiniger. I hear you that you're a person, but you're Scott Reiniger. Come on,
Yeah.
But he just was so humble. And what was so cool about him too, I can't wait to get that episode out because he is a man who is in love with the craft of acting and theater and filmmaking, the craft.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times like I would ask him a question. We were talking about like his favorite movies and stuff. And he would do this. He would stop for a second. He would kind of lean back and look up. And as I'm watching him, you can tell that in his memory, he's going back to like 1972 or 1978.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in a theater, 40 years ago, reliving seeing a movie again for the first time. And it was so fascinating to watch that. And then he would thoughtfully answer the question and talks about this cinematographer he really liked. And I was just so in awe of this man. I mean, this is a man who's a true artist. And that's been one of the most interesting experiences about podcasting has been really getting to sit at the feet of these giants and soak in all of the life experience and the knowledge they can bring you, but also just to appreciate them as artists. You know, like
Yes.
Yes.
I interviewed Alan Troutman a couple weeks back. And what's interesting about Alan is he's always associated with Tarman from Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I co-hosted with my friend Angel Bradford. Shout out to Angel. She's amazing. She's an actress and a special effects artist, and she's fantastic. She actually won, check this out. Angel won second place in a contest guest judged by Tom Savini.
Whoa.
She won second place. She is awesome. She is so
Sweet.
awesome.
Yeah.
So she co-hosted this episode with me. And I told her when we were prepping for it, I said, we had a question about like fast versus slow zombies. I said, Angel, with this particular question, we may not go into this because there's a chance he's not a horror person. I just had this feeling like there's a chance.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, Alan is not a horror guy. He took that job because he just needed a job.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
he did such an amazing job at that role that he's associated with Return of the Living Dead. He's a theater guy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a puppeteer and a voice artist. That's Alan's a theater guy. But he was so good at what he does that he just knocked this role out of the park. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Alan, he's a horror guy." He's like, "No, he's not."
No.
Yeah.
He's been a puppeteer for the Muppets since Jim Henson was alive. Like he joined like right before Jim Henson died.
Yeah.
But I was so in awe of just the artist in him.
Yeah.
You know, and to know that I'm talking to a guy that has been doing this since the 70s and he's carrying around all these memories in this cinema history. And it really is a privilege. It really is.
Yes.
It is. I do a horror movie convention called Days of the Dead. And I know there have been so many times like Sid Haig, who has been acting. I mean, he was in the original Star Trek series. I mean, that's how long this man acted. Just to sit and talk with him about all of his memories, while I was working with him, it's just absolutely fascinating. And, it's just, you just want to sit, buy him a beer or whatever their favorite beverage is. And, just sit and just listen to their stories is absolutely fascinating. But it's so funny you brought up the fast versus slow moving zombies.
Mm-hmm.
John Russo, who co-wrote the original Night of the Living Dead with George Romero. Yep. I was at a convention with him and he actually turned to me and he's like, "I'm going to ask you the question." I'm like, "What question?" He's like, "Which is scarier, slow moving zombies or fast moving zombies?"
Wow. John Russo asked you that. That's
amazing.
Amazing.
And I was like, both.
I'm friends with him on LinkedIn, by the way. I don't know if I'm fake. Like when I sent him a LinkedIn request and he accepted, I was like, I geeked out, because I was like,
well, yeah,
it's John Russo. It's John Russo.
Yeah. But no, I kind of surprised him when I said both. And he was like, normally people are like, it's fast moving zombies and here's why, or it's slow. And I'm like, no, both are scary.
No, both are scary on their own.
I agree.
Yeah, because slow moving zombies, you have time to realize that that's Uncle Fred coming for you. And your only hope of survival is double tapping Uncle Fred in the head.
Yep.
Fast moving zombies are scary because your fight or flight kicks in and you have to move faster than they move. So they're both frightening to me, but it just, when you brought up the fast and slow, I was like, I've had this conversation with John
and the
Russo.
2004 Dawn of the Dead did it right. Like those zombies are terrifying. Like I agree with you. I'm not a big fan of fast moving zombies, but it can be done well.
Yes.
I think I like World War Z. I thought World War Z was a great movie. And that's an example. Like those zombies are terrifying. They both have their faults. By the way, do you want to hear a Sid Haig story you probably haven't heard?
Hit me with it. Let's see if I've heard it.
She might
I might be like, yeah, I've heard it. Or I may be like, nope.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So when I interviewed Harrison Smith, he was at a premiere when he did Death House. Actually, I think it was an audience test for Death House. And Sid was there. And so when the movie's over, I'm hoping I'm telling the story correctly.
Sure.
You can listen to the first episode of my podcast and you can hear it there too. Sid and Harrison were at a bar and Harrison was going over all the review cards. And this is actually a lesson that any filmmaker can carry. But it really shows how wise Sid was.
Mm-hmm.
So Harrison is looking at all these reviews and Sid's like, let me take a look at that. So Sid's going through these cards. He's like, okay, so this is good. This is good. He said, so we're going to make some piles here. so we're going to have our 10s, we're going to have our 9s and 8s, and then we're going to have our 5s, 4s. And, he said, now you got a lot of 10s, you got a lot of this, you got a lot of 5s too. He said, this is good. Let me tell you why. What you don't ever want are zeros. And he said, the reason you don't want a 0 is that means your movie did nothing for the person. At least with a 5 or a 4, it had some kind of emotional impact on them, even if they hated it. With a 0, that means they just didn't even care and weren't even paying attention. And I thought, wow, that's,
oh yeah.
That's like 50, 60 years of film wisdom right there.
Yes.
To realize, to have that kind of insight into just your scores. Like, you want the 5s because that means your movie had an impact on people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Versus all 0s. So anyways, that's a little Sid Haig anecdote that you hadn't heard before.
Very
cool.
No,
I had not heard that one. Yeah.
And I know I got us way off topic. I apologize.
In this show, really, there is no staying on. Like I said, he tries to keep me on track with the topic, and
well, there's nothing wrong with a good tangent either. If the tangent's interesting, hey, let's go.
I mean, we learn stuff just by going with the flow. I write notes about things you've done and stuff like that, but 9 times out of 10, I don't get to everything that I've made a list of, because we get into like this really interesting nugget.
Yeah.
And you just want to follow it. And those are the conversations I love the best, are where, you sit down with somebody and you have some ideas, but then, be prepared to just take that left turn with them. Be prepared
to see where it goes.
To let it go. Cause sometimes, sometimes you get that interesting little nugget of conversation going that is so fascinating. I mean, for instance, we interviewed Larry Hankin, who, famous for the Friends downstairs neighbor. And he told us something I had no clue of. I knew that to get a movie nominated for an Oscar, it had to be shown in an accredited theater. That much I knew. What I did not know is there are porno theaters that are accredited.
Accredited. Still,
accredited.
Really?
So he, at the last minute, is scrambling, trying to get this short that he filmed into a theater that will get him, what he needs for the Oscar nom. And all they could find was a porno house.
It was a porno theater. And he actually went to the showing. And it was an interesting story of people expecting porn, but getting this short film,
which is an amazing short film. And he got nominated in the whole 9. But I mean, you just picture this entire, theater full of people who are expecting something completely different. They're like, and now all their clothes come off. Okay. When are the clothes?
When the clothes are coming off?
Is this when no. We're not having.
It makes me think of The Office when Pam was talking about seeing 28 days and 28 days later instead of 28 days. She's like, I kept waiting for
zombies, but they never showed up.
Yeah.
They never
showed up.
It's like I kept waiting for Sandra Bullock, but she never showed up. It's like, and just like, I don't understand how you confuse those two. I'll tell you right now, guys, the most interesting person in this circle right now is Ian. And let me tell you why. This man is insane. You fly for a living, sir, and I don't understand how you do that. I am so scared of flying, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Not only have I gotten free alcohol on a flight because I must have looked horrified. I don't know what was going on here for this person. This
sheer terror.
Yeah, this person that gave me like free. Like she literally said to me like, "Don't worry about it." Like she gave me this Jack and Daniels, told me not to worry about it. So I must have been just like, I don't know, but. My nightmares about flying are the fact that I have to step foot on an airplane. And I have chosen a career path where I'm probably gonna have to fly a lot. Well, in fact, I've got to fly up to Chicago here soon. So
yeah.
I mean, and I might find out what after the show, I'm gonna find out what airline you're with. I'll have to make sure you're on the flight, and I'll just like it'll make me feel better knowing you're there. I don't know. But yeah, kudos to you, man. I don't know how you do what you do.
Well, it's been 17 years later, so I must have figured it. For some reason, it just doesn't bother me. When I tried flying when I was younger, the first time I actually flew, I'm like, this is pretty cool. And being a flight attendant basically was a means to an end in as much as that it was a career path, because we're both creative as well, but we're having to be in Indiana and we're still doing our thing.
Yeah.
At the same time though, doesn't pay all the bills. So it's like, well, I could either manage, like say a restaurant or something like that and want to kill everybody around me, or I can be on the airplane and only see these people for like half an hour to 3 hours at a time, and then I never see them again. And then that just seemed to be the way to go. And also I also got to see all over the country and Canada and down the islands and stuff. And I do that 3 days a week and then come home and then
Have to put up with me.
Yeah, it works out for us. So it just seemed like at the time it was just the way to go to keep my sanity. Even though we've done like I've had like a play produced, this, that, and the other, and I've had some small successes and still getting that creative outlet. But at the same time though, it's not like, say, as you know, being in New York or LA, where you have like a lot more options, even though you still do what you do in Knoxville and you have a great people with you. It's not the same as putting your toes into everything that's going on. But I mean, if you have a good team, hey, I would love to have like, 5 people who work with me or 6 people work with me that I can trust and blah, blah, blah. But it is a different dynamic.
Yeah. It didn't help any that at the time that he was contemplating taking this career, I was a preschool teacher for years. And I was working at a preschool where they hired in a woman whose job it was to get rid of all the people that had degrees that they were paying too much money to, like me. And so she was making our lives completely difficult and just like sheer hell. And I came home one day and I'm like, if you don't figure out a way for me to quit my job, I'm going to prison. I'm going to prison because I will have killed this woman with her own high heels. I will have stabbed her in the eyeballs with her own high. And he's like, okay. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out. And then it was a customer that ended up being a friend.
Yeah. He was a customer comes in at the video store working at, and he was a flight attendant for this company, and I could fly out of Indianapolis. There you go. Boom. I put his name on my resume. I got right in and here I'm still doing it.
Yeah. And he started at what we were making. Both of us working together.
We made
wow.
So it was like just at the right time. And our daughter was born with spina bifida. So she's had multiple surgeries. And we were really starting to get into all of those. And it was like, well, she has a 6-week recovery period. Somebody's got to stay home with her. That's me. And, no employer wants to work with you with that. So
how is she, if you don't mind me asking? Is she doing good?
She's doing great. Good. She's 23 now. She's also on the spectrum. So she's graduated from high school, but she goes to an
outreach program.
A program here called the ARC, where they have like adult day services. But her teacher, I don't know what the universe was thinking when they created her teacher, but it's like this woman has endless energy and endless love for what she does.
Yeah.
And she is constantly, like, even the kids that graduated, she's still trying to find ways to keep them involved in stuff. And so she does Lamb Camp, which is learning and making buddies that she does with the 4-H sheep showers, where all people, all the kids that she's had in school that she either still has in school or that have graduated get to go to the 4-H grounds, and they learn how to shear sheep. They learn how to wash sheep. They get to learn how to walk them around the arena. They all get their picture taken with the sheep, and they get a little ribbon or a trophy or whatever. And they love it. The kids that are sheep showers love it. It's just so much fun for the kids. And then on Tuesday, she's like, well, who wants to go to the movie with me to see the new Minion movie? And she sends out a mass text. She's like, I'm going to go to the Minion movie on July 5th at 1:30. Who wants to go? So she's probably going to have 20 people, 20 kids show up.
That's so fantastic.
And and then we have Special Olympics bowling. So
gold medalist, by the way.
Gold medalist. Yes, gold medalist.
Yeah, we work as a team. I hold the ramp and aim the ramp, and Maddie does
Maddie,
the bowling
yeah.
and got a gold medal this year. So there you go.
Yeah,
Rock and roll.
It cracks me up. One of her senior pictures. We took all of her Special Olympics medals and like, you know how Olympians have all the medals spread across their chest. And we did one of those with all of her medals spread across the chest with her bowling ball. And it's one of my favorite pictures of her because she just has this little smug smile on her face. Like, I won all these medals. Yep.
That's so great. That's so great.
So
and bowling's not easy. I'm a terrible bowler.
Here's what I find funny is we got involved in Special Olympics bowling and then they needed a coach. I've never bowled ever. He was a league bowler.
A terrible league bowler.
But he still knows like all the terms, how to keep score, the whole nine. I've never bowled. I am a gutter ball queen when I try to bowl. And somehow I got roped into being the coach. And to this day, I still don't know. And I'm like, how? And he's like, because you're a soft touch and they talked you into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how we ended up here. But I'm like, I know nothing about bowling. How did I end up here? I love it, but it's still like, I know how.
Well, you're basically just making sure everything's flowing.
Yeah.
Right?
I make sure everybody.
So
yeah.
I usually, I help my daughter, but then if there's another, wheelchair bowler that needs a ramp, then I work with them as well. So that's I'm a coach too.
Yeah, you're a lane coach with the ramp bowlers, but yeah.
But anyway, getting back to
let me just before we switch gears, I just want to say I love you two. Y'all are awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Like y'all have a big fan of me. Like I you just meet people sometimes, you just fall in love with them. You two, I'm a huge fan. You guys
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, we're interested in, especially with you just starting out, and this is your first feature that you're working on, right?
Well, it's a short. It is a short.
It's short. Okay, so you're not at the feature thing yet, but you're okay. Cool. That's hey.
So let me give you something exclusive.
Exactly. Sure.
Yeah.
I've not told
some exclusive stuff.
I'm not told anybody this yet. I have had some people that know about the story. I've had more than one person tell me I should turn it into a feature. And one of the things I'm thinking about doing, I'm going to run an Indiegogo. And let me tell you why. I just came out public about this.
Okay.
I want to pay my people. I don't care if I make a dime on this. I want to pay my people. I joke that I'm arrogant about one thing, and it's my beard, because everybody constantly, I have had the weirdest compliments on my beard. It's very strange. Like I've been laying in the ER in a bed. Like I'm just like, I'm in the bed just laying there. And the nurse is like, you have a really nice beard. And I'm like, thank you.
As a beard lover, I will say it is an epic beard and very well maintained, I might add. Very well trimmed, very nice.
I've had a Mormon missionary compliment my beard, sitting on my porch. The best one though, my favorite was I was at I'm not gonna name the store, but I was at the glasses store. It was one of those where like the where they check your eyes is connected to the store. And I ran out to my car to get my old glasses so they could look at them to, adjust the new frames. And I come back in, there's a new person standing there. And, she's like, I'm sorry. I just have to tell you, your beard is amazing. And she just starts talking about how great my beard is. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, I messed with her a little bit. I was like, well, did you want to get a selfie with it? I straight up asked her that.
That's box, and you can have a selfie with it.
And I was like, well, I joke. I tell people, I'm like, I'm arrogant about one thing. It's my beard. So I joke about it. By the way, apparently I look like Francis Ford Coppola when he was young. And
I get that.
Yeah. Okay. I can see it. Yeah.
So I heard that. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So let me show you something. I found a picture and I did a side-by-side to kind of see if that was accurate. And it's kind of freaky how accurate of a description that was of me. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but that's me and Mr. Francis right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if so not exactly like him, like you're his son, or
Well, probably an illegitimate son.
Illegitimate
child. It's close. It is really close.
It is.
You know what? I forgot what our original question was. I'm sorry. What's the question?
You're doing an exclusive, something about wanting to pay your people.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So I want to do an Indiegogo for a couple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pay my people. That's where the most of the money is going to go.
Yeah.
I want to do the festival circuit with this short film because while it's not a feature, I'm putting that amount of work and quality into it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's all about what you put into it. Yes.
Yeah. And if I can hit $10,000, this is not the exclusive that's coming up next, but if I can hit $10,000, I'm actually going to let my team roll the camera and I'm gonna let them shave my beard off, which I regret saying, but I'm going to do it.
That'll be worth it.
If we can hit $10,000.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If we hit $10,000, you guys can see what I look like without a beard. If I can hit $50,000, I'm actually going to start over and turn it into a feature. I've had a veteran filmmaker who made a very famous film that actually I even go as far as to say it was on The Last Drive-In. It's famous enough to have been on there. I told him the idea and he said, that's a feature. So if I can raise $50,000, if the Indiegogo just took off, I'll turn it into a feature. I literally will. I've not told anybody publicly that yet. So there you go. That's an exclusive.
That's our exclusive.
There we go.
Our exclusive with Bryan.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I don't know if I could do it for $50,000. I haven't budgeted out like that. But if that's kind of in my head, I was like, all right, well, if I can raise 50 grand, I'll turn it into a feature, so why not? But yeah, I ultimately, I just want to pay my people. All of my actors, all of my crew, all of them have been doing this for free. And you can't, that's the one currency in life you can't pay back is your time. And, even if I could pay each of them 10 grand a piece, it wouldn't be enough to thank them for what they've done to help me bring this vision to life, because I'm sitting here raving about what it feels like to be on set. That wouldn't be happening if it weren't for my team.
Yeah.
And that's one of the cool things about the film community as well. And you guys know this, I imagine. Somebody once asked me, what was the most shocking thing about stepping into the world of filmmaking? And I want to say it was people's willingness to help. Because early on, I felt like the signal I was getting, I can't speak for Hollywood, but I felt like it was taboo to ask for help. And I kind of was judging that based on, you don't ever ask people to read your script. Don't ever do that. Unless you're best friends with this person, don't ask somebody to read your script. I was like, well, okay. And I thought, well, maybe that's, I don't know, for whatever reason, they just kind of translate. This is not an industry ask for who want to make movies and they're willing to work for free or for IMDb credit to make a movie with you. And so when you surround yourself with these passionate people who are artists, they're all artists. I mean, down to the lighting. I mean, lighting is an art in and of itself.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen some, if you watch The Road to Perdition, that movie has some incredible lighting. So I mean, everyone's an artist, no matter what they do on set, everyone's an artist and everyone has that. You want to surround yourself with people who have that same passion. And because of that, because of what they've done for me, I want so badly to pay them. So probably 80% of that money is going to go towards paying my crew and my cast. And the other part of it is going to be getting into the festivals.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to also do a theater premiere. There's a place in Knoxville called Central Cinema. I don't know if it's credited. That'd be kind of cool if it is.
Yeah.
But I'm going to premiere there and I want to do a red carpet event and have everybody show up and walk the red carpet and stuff. So, at the very least, I am going to do that for everybody. I'm going to have, even if I have to put it on a credit card, I'm going to do that for my people. I'm going to premiere it at Central Cinema and I'm going to throw a big thing for them because they deserve it,
But I definitely know about being paid last. I would want to pay. I have a feature that I'm wanting to get done. Blah 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 blah. But and my thought is with just being the writer, it's you pay everybody else that's working on this first. They'll see my name on it, and that'll be my calling card for my other projects.
Yeah,
they might not have that where they aren't looked on as much because they're more behind the scenes with the lesser names. So they need the money a little bit more than I do because I might get a little bit more money down the line, but I want them to be taken care of because they put a hell of a lot more work into it than I do. Yeah. I mean, I'm just typing words on a page, but they're actually bringing it to life. So, I'm totally with you. It's you get paid, you do your thing, you're doing an awesome job. I want you to keep doing this. So I totally get that.
Yeah, I literally don't care if I make a dime off this movie.
Yeah.
I want to pay my people because
Exactly.
I'm so grateful for what they have done for me. Like it almost feels unfair that they're not here right now with me. You know,
I get that. Yeah.
It's because I mean, seriously, I wouldn't be doing this were it not for them. I could not make this movie by myself. I couldn't.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
it's been the generosity of all these people that have helped me do this. So I'm so grateful for my team. Like I'm, you know, I'm really big on, I like encouraging people. I like inspiring people. And I'm really big. I want filmmaking to be accessible to everyone. Like I was talking about with my company, like I really just want to stress the importance of team to all the filmmakers out there. Like, you know, I'd say also one of the biggest things about a successful filmmaker. Let me say this. Jason Horton, who he's doing that movie Craving.
Mhm.
I consider Jason a friend. You know, I've talked to him and I've got to interview him. And he said something to me on the podcast we did that really has stuck with me. And he made the statement that a selfish filmmaker is an unsuccessful filmmaker.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've never forgotten
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And you know, every filmmaker out there, I will tell you, you know, and actually let me roll back to what I was talking about, like being successful at it. You know, be adaptable, to be humble. That's just a good leadership quality in general. And you can show that humility by listening to your team, collaborating with your team, you know, being willing to take their ideas. Just be humble and be a servant to your team. Because I think a good leader is really more of a servant. They're not the boss, they're the servant. They're willing to do what other people don't want to do. They're willing to do what they would ask their own people to do. They're willing to lead by example. Because when things go wrong while in production, which they will, you can bank on it. If anybody that's ever had a perfect production where there was nothing went wrong, I want to hear about that. Your people are looking to you for what are we going to do? They're looking, they're watching how you're going to react. And if they see you melt down, if they see you panic, they're going to lose faith in you.
Yeah.
You know, and I would tell people, like, don't be a robot. I mean, you're a human being, you have emotions. Make sure you have a confidant with you that you can go to with your negative emotions. You know, so like if I ever get frustrated, if I ever get angry, I call Scott and I'm like, I vent a little bit to Scott. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm very frustrated with this. I get all those negative emotions out. Next part of that conversation. Okay. What can we do to fix this? Then I go back to my team and like, all right, here's what we're going to do. You know, I don't want my team to see negative emotions. I want them to see me have nothing but answers and solutions, because I want them to have confidence in me as a leader. And that's my job. And I don't want to let them down, you know? So being humble, being a servant, and being adaptable are extremely important. The other thing you need to be able to work with different personalities. You need to be a people person. And I think John Carpenter, I love this story I heard him tell. And I think he was talking to Mick Garris, actually. He was talking about with his actors, one of your jobs as director is to get the performance you need from your actors. He said, I am to my actors whatever it is they need. He said, you know, if I have an actor that needs a father figure, I can be a father to them. I'll be a father to them. He said, if I have an actor that needs me to be a jerk and be hard on them, I can be a jerk. You know, he's like, I am whatever my actors need, so I can get that performance out of them. And that's a funny anecdote, but it's also true. You need to be able to work with everybody. You need to be able to blend and adapt to every personality type out there, because I mean, just like any team environment, everyone's different, everyone's unique. And that's the beauty of humanity. That's the beauty of life. And that's the beauty of filmmaking. You're not working with you're not working with a bunch of people that are you're working with unique individual people who are living unique individual complex lives. And that's what's so cool. So they all bring something special to the production. Your job as a, not only as a human being, but as a director, is to be able to adapt to what your people need.
Yes.
And that's such an important skill to have. And I'll tell you, that may sound daunting to some people, but what I'll say to encourage you, those of you out there who might find that daunting, you know, because not everybody's an extrovert. You know, some people are introverts, and some people struggle with socialization. You will find on a good film set that these people actually become your family. There's a brotherhood, and there's like a tribal familial thing that starts to happen. Like these people, like they become your family. I would do just about anything for any of these people. And you have all these great stories. Like, you know, one of our guys, if I said, you know, Joey the Arm is in my movie, you have no idea what that means, you know. But like one of my producers, her husband, her fiance, his name is Joey. And he was running, as an audible, he was running Sound Force one day because we need somebody to hold the boom mic. And he, like, his arm was showing up in some of the shots. and we were thinking about a good way to credit him. For, you know, we can't use his full name because he actually he has a clearance, or he's working on getting his clearance. So we can't credit his full name. So we're like, well, what's the way we could credit him? You know, do we just put Joey, the sound guy, or whatever? And Donnie's like, we should just call him Joey the Arm. You know, it sounds like very mob. And
there you go.
And so, and it's stuck. So now he's Joey the Arm. You know, it's like whenever we talk to Onyx, we're like, you know, what's Joey the Arm doing? Like, you know, we just call him Joey the Arm. What we're thinking about doing in the credits is actually doing like Joey and then having like the little, you know, the flex arm emoji. Like,
yeah.
About just doing
there you
the
go.
Credits. So you have all these really funny, goofy things that happen on set that you laugh and you cut up, and you just have all these great stories. These people really become your family. So I will tell you that actually my experience so far has been, it's not difficult to be able to work with everybody as a whole, because you love these people, and always remain grounded, and always remember that you're making a movie.
Oh yeah. Totally get that.
You know, you're making a movie on set as a director. I don't care how big your production is. You've done something right. You're that's a privilege.
Yeah.
You're making a movie. Don't ever forget that. If you keep that lens in front of your eyes and you look at all the stuff as like, I'm making a movie, it's humbling.
Yeah.
It's
humbling. Yeah. It's like because not everybody gets to that point where they're able to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, be happy you're there and enjoy the whole experience of it.
Yeah.
Because it is an experience, no matter whether it's a big, small production or a big production, you're going to get something out of it, and it's going to be, you're going to be happy to be there.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
definitely. Well, we are unfortunately going to have to wrap it up because it is the 3rd of July.
So there's going to be some fireworks happening outside.
Our neighborhood has sounded like World War III for the past 2 days, and I fear it's starting to get dark. I fear what it's going to sound like here in about half an hour. Because,
but also with the flight attendant thing comes free flight benefits. So if you need somebody to fill in to do whatever, one of us can just,
my dream is to be dead body number 3 in a production. Just
we would be happy to do
cover me with blood and guts and have me lay in a field being a dead body. That's my
absolutely.
jam. That's my jam.
Okay, so go ahead and
plug away.
Quick
This is your moment to
with
plug
everything
away
that you've done working on. That way we have kind of an encapsulated thing.
Podcast, your production company.
But let us know what's happening with that.
Absolutely. So my company's Dawn Journey Productions. My movie's called Blood Repentance. We do have a Facebook page for it. It's the let me make sure I get this right. I've actually not looked it up yet. When I tell people, it's the official. I believe it's called the official Blood Repentance film page. But let me make sure. I'm unprepared. It's called the official Blood Repentance.
We'll put in little graphics.
Official Blood Repentance.
Film page.
So just go make sure you send that to us. We'll put
we'll put it down below, and
exactly.
So everybody can click on links and stuff like that. And I think you said you had a fundraiser going for the beard?
Well, I haven't started yet, but I'm going to start Indiegogo. I'll get that to you guys once that starts.
Sure. Yes.
I as far as social media goes, the best place to find me is Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook.
Okay.
Anybody can friend request me. I want to answer questions. I'm very busy. So I will try to get to you. Like if it takes me a day or two to get back, folks, it's not that I'm ignoring you. I'm extremely busy right now.
Yeah.
Also, if you send me a message, please feel free to add me as a friend. I'll get to you. Don't say hello, how are you? Because I get so many scam messages, and that's exactly how they start. Please send me like tell me what it is you need in your initial message, so I know that you're a real person. But I look like Francis Ford Coppola. My full name is Bryan Parkerson. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on Twitter at BP4JC. Dawn Journey Productions has a Twitter page. We have a LinkedIn. We do have a Facebook page as well. My podcast is called That Other Interview Show. I've got a new episode about to launch here in about a week. It's with a guy named Mike Ankus,
Okay.
who was actually he's a producer on my current film. He was one of the zombies that ripped apart Tasso Stavrakis in Day of the Dead.
Oh,
wow.
My favorite
He
scene.
was good friends with Tom Savini. Yeah,
Yes.
he was good friends with Tom Savini for a number of years. He was at
Very
Living Dead
cool.
Weekend
Very
a few
cool.
weeks back. He's got all these really amazing pictures. Mike is awesome, and he's got a lot of great stories. He's just the sweetest guy. So this is a good episode, and there's a lot of Ramiro history there.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
So this is a guy, and he tells us in the episode, he was so close to Tom Savini that he's apparently Tom and in one of his houses at one point had like a projector built into his bed, and it would project onto the ceiling. He said, I have laid in bed with Tom Savini and watched sci-fi B movies. He's like, how many people can say they've done that? I'm like, probably not me.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Because that's what Tom did. He had a projector and it projected on the ceiling. So Mike's a great guy, but Facebook's the place to find me. If you have questions about filmmaking, I'm still learning too, but I'll be happy to share what I know. If you have questions about equipment, how to get started, and I'll tell everybody, start a podcast. That has been one of the most amazing tools for networking and connecting with people. And don't be afraid of social media. People criticize Facebook and stuff. Let me tell you something. Social media is what you make of it. And Facebook is an incredible networking tool. I can almost guarantee you there's a local film community group on Facebook in your area.
Oh yeah.
Get on there,
Definitely.
Join the group, introduce yourself, and let people know. Can I say one more thing? I know we're
Sure. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Joe Bob Briggs. I'm hoping he listens to one podcast I'm on because I want to thank the man. He did a monologue that changed my life. It's called Keep Rolling. It's about 5 minutes and 47 seconds long. It's on YouTube. All of you aspiring filmmakers out there, stop calling yourself aspiring filmmaker. You're a filmmaker. I stole that from Joe Bob because that monologue, he talks about, he says there's no such thing. He basically says there's no such thing as an aspiring filmmaker. He said, you're a filmmaker. If you have 10 minutes a day to work on your screenplay, work on it 10 minutes a day. You're not an auto mechanic. You're not a doctor. You're a filmmaker. You're a director. You're a screenwriter. Work on it. Start thinking that way. Watch that monologue. It's going to hype you up. It's going to encourage you, and it's going to change your life. Stop calling yourself an aspiring filmmaker. When you reach out to me, say, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm a filmmaker. Don't be an aspiring filmmaker. Be a filmmaker. Get out there and do it. That's also the one thing I kept hearing from people. Just get out there and make something.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how valuable of a learning experience it is. And you're going to run into like, I don't know how to do this. That's why you need to connect with people and network. And you can message me and ask me questions. I'm very accessible. I'm a very nice guy on Wednesdays. So I'm kidding, but thank you so much.
Thursday, not so much, but Wednesday is your good day.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but Wednesday I'm good. But guys, thank you for having me on here. It's been
great.
Blast.
It's been awesome. Yeah, we would love to talk to you more, but like I said, they're already gearing up out there. We've already heard some stuff, and I can. It's starting to get dark. I just know that it's just going to be.
I love you. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are so cool.
Well,
I'm a big fan of you guys.
Yeah. And we will definitely, once you get something in the can and it's ready to go to festivals and all that.
Or if you just want to talk horror movies.
Or if you want to talk horror movies. Yeah,
we'll
whatever. We will definitely have you back on because this has been fun. I can talk horror movies with anybody for like hours.
Oh yeah.
I know that I could, this could be a 3-hour podcast easily. Just so you know, because like you just talk to people sometimes.
If we just sat here and talked about horror movies, seriously, we would be like, okay, it's midnight. We have to stop.
So there you go.
We've been talking for 4 hours.
It's like Return of the Living Dead, my favorite.
Yes, which we're getting ready to watch because what else do you watch on July 3rd?
It's such a good movie too.
I mean, my favorite scene of all time though is, you mean the movie line? That line is just perfect.
So anyway, we'll talk at you later.
Yes,
everybody, this has been Bryan.
Oh yes, Bryan Parkerson. Find him on Facebook. The
Twitter,
podcast
LinkedIn
is The Other Interview Show. Is that right?
That other interview show. Yeah, I'm on all the major networks.
Yes, and he's your guy. If you have questions, find him on Facebook. He looks like Francis Ford Coppola stepped out at one point in his life. I mean, I think some DNA needs to happen here. But it has been a blast, and we will definitely have to have you back. Definitely
later on.
Cool.
I'd be happy to come back on, guys.
Great. Okay, that was an incredible interview with Bryan Parkerson.
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we ended the interview and then ended up talking to him for another half an hour.
Yes,
so we're
definitely.
going to have him back. We are actually going to be having him back in a duo interview with
Honey.
So that will be at the end of July. So yeah, stay tuned. We hopefully we'll be able to get an actual movie review in between now and then. That's our goal. I know we keep saying that, but we really do mean it. We really do. We're trying to do that.
There's like a list of ones that
we have a I'm sure everybody has a list of things they want to do and they never get to it. We're trying desperately.
Well, I think we're gonna. Last one we were talking about was either the Christmas one, the Christmas zombie one.
Oh yeah, Anna and the Apocalypse.
Or the Nicolas Cage Chuck E. Cheese movie.
Yes, I think maybe
either one of those.
Yeah, Willy's Wonderland.
Yes.
I think will be our next review. If you are a Nicolas Cage fan, you're going to want to check it out. If you're not a Nicolas Cage fan, it's still a good movie.
But I mean, hello. I mean, battling like demonic, Chuck E. Cheese puppets.
Yes.
I mean,
okay, we're not going to give too much away. We're not doing these. Yeah. You'll have to stay tuned for that review.
Okay.
We're going to get to it. So until later. See you later.